I stood in Mom's living room, holding a glass of champagne I'd been about to toast with. The sound in the room felt suddenly muffled, like my ears had filled with water. My sister Rachel's face glowed with triumph. She'd been explaining how the cabin, my cabin, the one I'd bought 5 years ago with my signing bonus, would cover her divorce settlement and legal fees with enough left over for a fresh start. Buyers are from Seattle, she continued, oblivious to the phone vibrating in my pocket. Cash offer. They fell in love with the views. Closing is Friday. My phone buzzed again. I glanced down. Jake Morrison. A name I hadn't seen in 8 years. Not since we'd graduated and he'd moved to Colorado to work for his family's title company. I excused myself to the hallway. My hands felt cold. Jake. Marcus. Man, I almost didn't believe it when I saw your name on the deed. His voice carried that familiar careful precision I remembered from when we'd studied for contracts together. I'm the escrow officer on a property sale. Mountain cabin, Summit County. Seller is listed as Rachel Chin. That's my sister. Yeah. And according to county records, you're the sole owner. Have been since 2019. No transfers, no quit claims, nothing. This deed she's trying to close with? It's not in our system. At all. The hallway tilted slightly. I put my hand against the wall. Say that again. Your sister is attempting to sell your property. The deed she submitted has your signature on it. A signature dated last month, supposedly notarized. But Marcus, the property's never left your name. I pulled the chain of title going back 20 years. This is fraud. Through the doorway I could see Rachel laughing, showing Mom the purchase agreement, pointing at numbers. My mother's face lit up. Rachel had been devastated by her divorce from Derek. 18 months of legal warfare. Mom had been so worried about her. Don't close, I said quietly. Jake, do not close that sale. I've already frozen it. Called the buyer's agent to inform them we need additional documentation. But Marcus, I need you to know, this is sophisticated. The forged deed looks professional. She had to have paid someone. This wasn't amateur hour. I thought about the past 6 months. Rachel visiting more often. Asking about the cabin. Do you ever go up there anymore? She'd asked in March. I told her maybe twice a year that I was too busy with the new project at work. She'd nodded sympathetically. Such a shame to let it sit empty. Property like that in this market. I'd thought she was making conversation. I need copies of everything, I told Jake. The forged deed, the purchase agreement, all of it. Already scanning them. Marcus, this is a felony. Multiple felonies. Forgery, fraud, attempted theft. We're talking potential prison time. Inside the living room, Rachel was hugging Mom. Aunt Patricia brought out a cake. Someone had written "New Beginnings" in blue frosting. I made a decision that felt like stepping off a cliff. Can you stall the closing? Give me 2 weeks. I can delay indefinitely. Title issues. But Marcus. 2 weeks. I need to see how deep this goes. I returned to the party. Smiled. Congratulated Rachel. Watched her describe the buyers, their timeline, their plans to renovate. She had details. Specific research details. She knew their names, David and Ellen Pritchard. Knew they were architects. Knew they'd been searching for mountain property for 2 years. This hadn't been impulsive. This had been calculated. That night I hired an attorney. Not someone local. I called Margaret Voss, a lawyer I'd met through work who specialized in real estate fraud. I sent her everything Jake had provided. She called back within 3 hours. This is meticulous, Margaret said. The forged signature is very good. Not perfect, I can see 3 tells that would hold up in court, but good enough to fool a casual observer. The notary seal is fake but professionally rendered. She filed it with a title company in a different county, probably hoping the distance would prevent cross-verification. What would have happened if Jake hadn't noticed? The sale would have closed. You would have lost your property. By the time you discovered it, the money would be dispersed, the buyers would have legal possession, and you'd be fighting an uphill battle to unwind it. Even if you won eventually, it would take years and cost you more than the cabin's worth. My stomach turned over. She was going to actually do it. She did do it. The only thing that stopped her was chance. Your college roommate happened to be the escrow officer. Not chance. Pattern recognition. Jake remembered my name. Thought to check. I want to know who helped her, I said. Jake mentioned the deed looked professional. Margaret paused. We can investigate. But Marcus, this is going to destroy your family. Your sister's looking at criminal charges. Your mother will be caught in the middle. Are you sure? She was going to take my cabin. The one I bought after working 70-hour weeks for 3 years. The one I saved for. She was going to steal it and smile while doing it. Then we proceed. The next week I did something harder than any trial prep I'd ever done at work. I acted normal. Rachel texted me 3 times asking if I'd be at Sunday dinner. I said yes. She sent me a photo of the cabin from the buyer's inspection. They love it, she wrote. So grateful you're okay with this. I'd never said I was okay with it. She'd never asked. Sunday dinner arrived. Rachel looked radiant. The divorce had aged her. She'd lost weight, developed lines around her eyes, but tonight she looked younger. Hopeful. Closing's been delayed, she mentioned casually over roast chicken. Some paperwork issue. Nothing serious. Should resolve by end of week. I watched her cut her chicken. Saw her hand was steady. No guilt. No hesitation. That's frustrating, I said. These things happen. She smiled at me. Real estate's always complicated. Under the table my phone buzzed. Margaret. Identified the document forger. Former paralegal, disbarred. Has sold services to 6 other fraud cases. Sister paid $4,500 for the deed package. Venmo receipts recovered. I excused myself. Called Margaret from my car. The forger cooperated immediately when we mentioned federal charges, Margaret explained. Gave us everything. Rachel first contacted him in February. 9 months ago. She requested a deed transfer, a notarization template and coaching on how to submit it to avoid red flags. February. 2 months before she'd started visiting more often. She's been planning this since before she finalized her divorce. The timeline suggests she saw your property as her exit strategy from the beginning. I sat in the dark car, hands on the steering wheel. Inside, through the window, I could see Rachel laughing at something Mom said. My mother's face glowed with relief at seeing her daughter happy again. The gambler's fallacy, I thought. I kept believing that eventually family would mean something. That blood would trump calculation. But Rachel had done the math. My cabin minus my knowledge equaled her solution. What happens now? I asked Margaret. We have 3 options. Civil suit for attempted fraud. Criminal complaint. Or confrontation with law enforcement present. What do you recommend? Depends on your goal. Prison time. Criminal complaint. Financial restitution. Civil suit. Public accountability. Confrontation. I thought about the ghost ledger I'd started keeping in my head. Every family gathering where she'd asked about the cabin. Every time she'd mentioned her legal bills, her fresh start, her need for just one break. Every Sunday dinner where I'd been not a brother but a resource she was mining. Christmas 2 years ago, Rachel gave me a photo book of the cabin, so you can remember it when you're too busy to visit. Cost of gift, $40. Cost of memory, she was already planning to steal, $890,000. My birthday last year, she'd asked, have you updated your will? You should make sure everything's documented properly. I thought she was being thoughtful. She'd been conducting research. Anniversary of Dad's death. We'd hiked to his favorite overlook. She'd said, you're so lucky you got to buy that place before the market exploded. Not congratulations on my hard work. But, as if I hadn't earned it. The cost wasn't financial. It was the realization that I'd been performing the role of brother in a play where she'd cast me as obstacle. I want a confrontation, I told Margaret. With law enforcement. At the next closing attempt. Are you sure? This will be permanent. No walking it back. She already made it permanent when she forged my signature. Margaret scheduled everything with the precision of a surgical strike. Jake would inform Rachel's agent that the title issues were resolved. Closing would proceed. Friday at 2 p.m. Summit County Title and Escrow Conference Room B. I requested 2 things. That Jake be present and that my mother not be informed until after. Friday arrived cold and bright. I parked 3 blocks away, arrived 20 minutes early. Margaret met me outside with Detective Sarah Hernandez from the Summit County Sheriff's Economic Crimes Unit. Your sister arrived 10 minutes ago, Detective Hernandez said. She's in the conference room with her agent. The buyers are there. She seems confident. She doesn't know? We gave no indication. As far as she knows, this is a standard closing. We entered through a side door. Through the conference room glass I could see Rachel sitting at the long table. She wore a navy dress, professional. Her divorce lawyer sat beside her. The Pritchetts, David and Ellen, sat across with their agent. Jake stood at the head of the table organizing documents. Margaret nodded to Detective Hernandez. We entered. Rachel looked up. Saw me. Her expression flickered, confusion, then calculation, then something close to panic, before settling into a careful smile. Marcus, did Mom tell you? I wanted it to be a surprise. The cabin sale I was going to tell you after. I've been managing it for you, and with the market peak I thought. Miss Chin, Detective Hernandez interrupted. Her badge was visible on her belt. I'm Detective Hernandez, Economic Crimes. This closing is suspended. You're under investigation for real estate fraud, forgery, and attempted grand theft. The room went silent. The kind of silence where you can hear the HVAC system humming. David Pritchard slowly set down his pen. Rachel's face drained of color. What? Oh, there's been a mistake. This is my brother's property, but he gave me permission. The deed you submitted shows a transfer dated October 15, 2024, Jake said quietly. Professional. Almost apologetic. County records show no such transfer exists. The signature on the document doesn't match Mr. Chen's signature on file. We've verified through notary records that the seal used was fraudulent. The property has never left Marcus's name, Margaret added. She placed a folder on the table. We've also identified and interviewed the document forger you hired. Isaiah Martinez. Former paralegal. He's provided detailed records of your communications, including Venmo transactions totaling $4,500. Rachel turned to me. Marcus. I can explain. The divorce. Derek took everything. I was desperate. I just needed. You planned this in February, I said. My voice sounded strange. Almost disinterested. 9 months ago. You researched property values, hired a forger, cultivated a relationship with me specifically to gather information. You weren't desperate. You were strategic. Her divorce lawyer stood. My client needs legal representation for this. She has you, Detective Hernandez said. Though you might want to consider if you're equipped for criminal defense. Miss Chin, you're not under arrest at this moment, but you need to understand the severity. This is a Class 3 felony. Grand theft. Forgery. Attempted fraud. We're looking at 4 to 12 years of potential prison time. Ellen Pritchard whispered something to her husband. They stood, gathered their documents, and left without a word. Their agent followed, phone already out. Rachel's hands shook. She gripped the table edge. I didn't. Marcus, please. Mom can't know about this. It would destroy her. After everything with Dad and the divorce, she's been so worried. You were going to steal $890,000 from me, I said. You were going to smile at Sunday dinners while robbing me. You used my trust as an entry point. I was going to pay you back. Eventually. When I got on my feet. With what? The money would have been dispersed through your divorce settlement. Jake said you'd allocated $340,000 to Derek, $180,000 to legal fees, and kept $370,000. There was no payback later. There was theft and then moving on with your life. Margaret laid out more documents. We also need to discuss the attempted filing of a fraudulent quitclaim deed in Boulder County last month. Same forger. Different property. A rental condo registered to Marcus Chin. That one was rejected for technical errors before it reached processing. My blood turned to ice. The condo. You own a rental property in Boulder, correct? He attempted the same scheme. It failed because she listed the wrong lot number. The forger's notes indicate she was going to try again. This wasn't about the cabin. This was a pattern. She'd been planning to strip every property I owned. Rachel's face crumpled. I had no choice. Derek's lawyer destroyed me. The settlement took the house, half my retirement, everything. I have $14,000 left. I'm 39 years old, starting from zero. You had choices, I said. You could have asked for help. You could have gotten a job. You could have downsized your life. Instead, you chose to commit felonies against your brother. Detective Hernandez gathered her materials. Miss Chen, you'll receive formal notice of charges within 10 business days. I recommend you hire a criminal defense attorney immediately. The evidence is substantial. If you're considering a plea arrangement, early cooperation could reduce sentencing. Rachel stood on shaking legs. Her lawyer tried to take her arm. She pulled away, looked at me. Mom will never forgive you for this. Mom will never forgive you for doing it, I replied. I'm just the one who stopped you. They left. The conference room emptied. Jake, Margaret, and I remained. I'm sorry, Jake said. If I'd known this would. You saved me from losing everything, I told him. Thank you for remembering my name. For checking. We filed the criminal complaint Monday. The DA's office fast-tracked it. Clear evidence, cooperative witness in the forger, minimal ambiguity. Rachel was formally charged with 3 counts. Forgery, attempted grand theft, and filing fraudulent documents. I called my mother Tuesday evening. She'd already heard. Rachel had told her version, that I was punishing her for the divorce, that this was a misunderstanding blown out of proportion, that she'd been trying to help. How could you do this to your sister? Mom asked, her voice breaking. She's already lost so much. I sent her the documents, the forged deed, the Venmo payments, the Boulder condo attempt, the forger's testimony, the February timeline proving premeditation. Mom called back 3 hours later. Didn't speak for a long time. Just breathed. I don't understand, she finally said. Neither do I, Mom. But understanding it won't change what she did. Rachel's preliminary hearing was set for January. Her new attorney filed motions to suppress evidence, to dismiss charges, to argue that family property disputes shouldn't be criminalized. All were denied. The evidence was too clear. The intent too obvious. 6 months later, Rachel accepted a plea agreement. 4 years of supervised probation, $8,500 in restitution to cover my legal fees, 200 hours of community service, and permanent restraining order prohibiting contact. No prison time, but a felony conviction that would follow her forever. I sold the cabin 3 months after the plea. Not because Rachel had tainted it, she hadn't. Because I realized I'd been holding on to it as a symbol of success, proof that I'd made it. But success isn't property. It's not square footage or mountain views. Success is knowing when someone views you as a resource to extract rather than a person to value, and having the clarity to walk away. I sold it for $920,000. The market had climbed. I used the money to buy a smaller place in Montana, paid cash, put the rest into investments I diversified across multiple accounts. Nothing in my name alone. Nothing someone could target with a single forged signature. My mother and I have dinner once a month now. We don't discuss Rachel. She violated probation once, failed to complete community service hours, and served 60 days. Mom visits her. I don't. Sometimes Mom asks if I'll ever forgive her. I tell her the truth. Forgiveness requires someone to acknowledge what they did. Rachel still claims she was trying to help, that I overreacted, that family should protect family. She's right about that last part. Family should protect family. That's exactly what I did. I protected myself from the family member who saw me as collateral. I keep Jake's initial text saved on my phone. It's me, Jake. This deed doesn't match county records. 9 words that stopped a theft. 9 words that proved pattern recognition matters. 9 words that reminded me that real relationships are built on recognition, not just blood. The cabin's gone. Rachel's gone. The version of family I thought I had is gone. But I'm still here. My accounts are healthy. My properties are secure. My life is quiet and deliberately small. I sit on my Montana porch with coffee as the sun rises over different mountains. The air smells like pine and cold water. These mountains don't carry memories of betrayal. They're just mountains. Rachel wanted to steal something. She didn't realize she'd already killed it years earlier, the moment she looked at me and saw not a brother, but a balance sheet to liquidate. I didn't take revenge. I documented. I protected. I enforced. And now I live in peace, in a home she doesn't know exists, in a life she can't calculate the value of. The ledger is closed. The accounts are balanced. And for the first time in years I owe nobody anything.